think we have all found ourselves trying our best, doing everything we can to succeed. Despite this, still coming up short on expectations. This is how I feel the GameCube was remembered. But is it so much more? The successor to the N64, released in Japan and North America in 2001, and in Europe and Australia in 2002. The Nintendo GameCube came out against stiff competition, with the giant that was the PlayStation 2, and the introduction of a new gaming giant, Microsoft's Xbox. The GameCube was very much overlooked. However, as with most things, its reputation has grown over the years, and is now remembered fondly. For anyone who hasn't seen the GameCube in person before, the first thing that grabs you is how small it is. Compared to the Xbox at the time, this thing was tiny. Despite its size, it does have a hefty weight to it, and it feels well made, robust. With the addition of a carry handle at the rear of the console, many nicknamed it Nintendo's lunchbox. Combine this with the purple coloured version that was pushed through launch, you can see why people misunderstood this for being aimed towards children, when in reality it was a powerhouse, with many mature titles being released throughout its lifespan. On the rear is a power port, the typical Nintendo AV out, and also a digital out. This wasn't utilised here in the UK, however it is RGB capable via SCART cable, so for many this is sufficient enough. There are a couple of things we need before we can start gaming. The standard GameCube controller is considered one of the best, with its notchy analog bezels, comfortable form factor, and satisfying shoulder button clicks. Built-in rumble was also a welcome upgrade to past options. But the absolute best to use is the WaveBird. In the hand it feels identical to the standard controller. It has the addition of an on-off button and a small wheel at the bottom. This is to change the frequency to correspond with the receiver. This gives options if you're using many for multiplayer. A couple of downsides is it does use two AA batteries and there's no rumble. Many companies attempted and failed to make accurate usable wireless controllers before, but with this one, Nintendo nailed it. The receiver is compact and neat, and it doesn't look out of place when it's attached to the console. This is still the era of memory cards, so make sure you get one. I was using this transparent one from Mad Catz, but it became corrupt, and sadly I lost all my save data. So I would recommend you only use original Nintendo products. Having said that, there's a really good modern option called the MemCard Pro, but this is a little bit overkill for my needs. I know what you're thinking. Up until this point, everything I've discussed can be used with an original Wii. The early versions were backwards compatible, so why would we even need to bother? Because of this, the Game Boy player. This Game Boy player uses actual Game Boy Advanced hardware and can play any Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance game. Installation is really simple. Just remove this high-speed port cover from the bottom of the console. Always put it somewhere safe, you'll never know if you want it again in the future. Place the console on top of the Game Boy player and simply screw in the 2 screws in the bottom. No need to over tighten, so just take your time. Now it looks more complete. The Game Boy player won't work as is. It needs some software to tell it to load. Originally this was achieved with a boot disc that came with the Game Boy player. However, these are now rare and expensive. And they also do a poor job of scaling the image, and it can look blurry. I use this product called Action Replay. It uses this custom memory card to hold a micro SD card. This can host some software such as Swiss and Game Boy Launcher, which is needed to make the Game Boy player work. I won't go into detail on this video of how this works, but there are plenty of examples on the web showing you how to do this. The Action Replay set also comes with a boot disc that's also required. The D-pad on the GameCube controller isn't the best, so I always make use of the following. This is a GameCube to Super Nintendo cable adapter. And I pair this with an 8-bit Do wireless Bluetooth receiver. This gives me the option to use my Bluetooth modified original Super Nintendo controller. It's perfect for playing Game Boy games, and it's wireless, which is great. For the first time, Nintendo didn't release a mainline Mario game at launch. Instead, we got Luigi's Mansion. At the time, this was somewhat a disappointment, but I personally prefer this game to the later released Mario Sunshine. It made really good use of the powerful hardware. Set in a haunted house with ghosts, dusty rooms, and atmospheric lighting. Even today, it looks great. And of course, Nintendo being Nintendo decided to join the CD-DVD revolution with these 8cm discs. Wave Race was another launch title used to show off the graphical capabilities of the console. The water simulation is amazing, and again, it's another game that holds up well today. Eventually, the GameCube did get its flagship Mario game. I don't know how, but I ended up with this POW Australian variant. It was still a very polarising game. Some people loved it, and some people hated it. I'm a bit indifferent, to be honest. Rogue Squadron 2 is probably the best looking game on the console. Again, a launch title, and the best in its series. Zelda Twilight Princess was also shared with the Wii on launch, but this is the better version. As to coincide with motion controls, Nintendo mirrored the game, making Link right-handed. This is the accurate version, keeping Link left-handed. as he should be. The GameCube introduced some new franchises such as Pikmin. This is a very innovative game and has gone on to spawn many sequels. Metroid made its return in 3D with Metroid Prime. For some reason I only own the sequel to Prime. This was a triumph and really showed Nintendo could make the transition to 3D with its long established previously 2D franchises. James Bond made a return, and despite the advantages in gameplay and graphics, it couldn't replicate the success and impact that GoldenEye had made back on the N64. Third-party developers were still supporting Nintendo with great games like SSX Tricky. I prefer to play the GameCube version, as it looks great and the controller suits the gameplay well. I also prefer to play Underground 2 on the console. The quality of the analog triggers and stick make it a pleasure to play. And what a great game. Definitely a peak in the Need for Speed franchise. And of course my setup opens the whole of the Game Boy library to play as well. So, let's get the console added to the setup and play some games.
Nintendo.
I regularly play through Luigi's Mansion. It's not the longest game, so it makes it perfect for a quick blast through.
Watch yourself. There's a lot of fire coming from the right side of that deflection tower.
I copy, Red Leader.
We've got to destroy those deflection towers.
Red Leader, we've got you covered. I'm going after the towers. Cover me.
As I mentioned before, I think this is the best looking game on the system. And on my CRT TV it looks amazing.
Great shot.
Ready for your attack run.
Don't think there's a better controller out there for console racing games. It's just perfect. I like to use my modern 4K TV when playing Game Boy games. With my scaler, I can blow the picture up to fill the screen. And it does look amazing, looking clean and colourful. And the Super Nintendo controller, well, it's optimised, isn't it, for these sorts of games, with its fantastic D-pad. Game Boy Advance is basically a portable Super Nintendo, so it lends itself great to the big screen, especially with my scaler, giving me lots of options to adjust the picture to compensate for their more washed out visuals. Having been designed to work on a screen with no backlight, they can look a bit washed out without a bit of tweaking. Good things come in small packages, or so the saying goes. Something small can be valuable, like a precious stone. I'm reminded of the story of the little train that could, with Nintendo attempting to go up against the giants that were PlayStation 2 and Xbox with their little coloured cube. Based on the competition at the time, the GameCube was a failure. But for those of us that loved it, grown alongside it, shared good times and made memories with friends and loved ones, it's Nintendo's little diamond. There is a kind of beauty to someone who tries hard and fails. You should be proud, regardless, knowing you gave it your all and tried your best. History should be kind to the Nintendo GameCube, the little console that could. Thank you for spending time with me today, and I hope to see you back here soon.